meters in the first incarnation to 570 meters of elevated portion to reduce the impact. And we also looked at lightening the structure itself and changing the design quality, changing the finish to make it a less intrusive structure in the community. So the design direction that we're going to try and explain tonight is that we've got kind of two equally important aspects of design. One is the guideway, which is the path where the trains travel in an elevated manner, and the greenway, which is the space that's kind of unlocked or freed up underneath and adjacent to the greenway. So I want to just, because I don't actually have a plan, some of you may have looked at the public realm plan when you were wandering around the room before that, before we started. I just want to talk about a few of the key features that we've been able to incorporate. So our biggest design challenge, as we brought our engineers and architects together, was to really lighten the actual structure. Often when we're building engineering structures, the aesthetics of the structure aren't the key focus. It's the kind of efficiency of the engineering. So the design team really looked at the aesthetics of the structure and the lightness of it. We've protected for a future station to be constructed at the south end of the greenway. And the greenway is a continuous path that will extend from south end at Bloor to Davenport in the north. And I recognize this is a lot of information and complicated detail, but I really encourage you to go to the public realm plan to really understand what the local impacts are at each point. One of the things we really wanted to focus on is understanding this in the context of other engineering structures. So what you see here is a cross-section of the Gardiner Expressway. And you can see its overall height and width. We started off with kind of a typical engineered solution. And this is kind of how it would look as if you did the guideway as a typical road overpass. And you can also see it relative to the height and the scale of the garden. So the design team looked at this with an eye to lightening. And so I'm going to draw your attention to a number of key details. First of all, the kind of making slender the structure of the bridge and splitting it apart so that rather than having a continuous concrete surface, we allow kind of a skylight to admit light to the pathway below. It also lets us plant the underside of the guideway. You can also see, if you've got really good eyesight, the catenary structure. So the catenary is just an engineering word for the wires that bring power to the electrified guideway in the future. So this is a view underneath the guideway at the new east-west connection at Antler Street and Lappin Avenue. So a couple of additional features that I want to draw your eyes to here. We really took to heart this challenge of making it both physically and visually lighter, and you can see here that what's been proposed is a stainless steel surface, a kind of burnished stainless steel that would give a light reflectivity and something that's very different than a kind of typical engineered overpass. You can also see the continuous skylight that runs the length of the guideway. And you can also see, you can start to see the continuous greenway that extends the entire length, the entire 1.4 kilometer extent. So this is a view at night. We also wanted to focus our design attention on things like safety and vandalism and graffiti prevention. One of the things that we know about public art is that it can really help with mitigating graffiti. We've introduced a public art program, especially at the east-west connections, that would use light as a way of kind of enhancing the quality of those spaces and mitigating graffiti. We've also got an integrated light proposal, which would see uplighting from these light halos, the underside of the surface, which is a white concrete to kind of increase the reflectivity, and then shine down on the guideway. So by shining light up and down, you're decreasing the kind of ambient light to the neighborhood, but you're increasing safety under the guideway. And then the materiality of the stainless steel on the outside walls of the guideway is easier to clean than concrete and part of a kind of overall maintenance and durability and beautification mandate. So this is a close-up view of the stainless steel edge. Another view looking down the greenway, and an example of how we're proposing to green the edges on the approach berms that I was talking about at the north end and the south end of the guideway. We would be burning up towards the stainless steel ribbon to really make those much more usable and kind of green spaces. What you're not seeing in this image, and I'm going to have our technical guys talk to this a little bit more, is that the sound with electrification, the noise impact is much more at wheel level. So the noise walls that we require are not as high, and they're really focused on sound dampening on the inside of these 2-meter high stainless steel walls. But the main noise comes from here rather than from the engine noise in the current, the engine noise and kind of the clatter at the diamond itself, which is kind of the existing condition. So just one slight aside on that. So as you see the catenary poles and wires here, so this is the way you would see it in the final build out of the electrified version. The maximum number of diesel trains that we're going to be running is going to be capped at 36 per day until electrification is implemented. And then it would be rising to 180 vehicles with full electrification by 2022. So a little bit of information on the greenway itself. So this would be the view looking south underneath the guideway. And what you see over to the right here is the existing Siberian elms at Campbell Avenue Park. So here's the greenway that extends all the way south to Bloor Street, and behind us it would extend all the way north up to Davenport. So some of the public realm features that you're seeing here, that new linear park section that happens kind of underneath the elevated portion. We'd be getting new east-west connections both at Wallace Square and at Patton Avenue, which is currently blocked off. This whole area, the landscape plan is really about durability and sustainability. We see this as a sustainable habitat with low maintenance native species, so that it becomes a kind of a landscape that's not dissimilar to what you would see on the West Toronto rail path. So kind of a combination of meadow, native plants, but with a kind of a durability, so you don't have to water them, and they're just kind of a natural